Well, hey, welcome to VH1 Behind the Music. We have Austin McBride. It's Liberty Behind the Music, right?
Oh, man.
This is a big week for you, man. Got a concert coming up. Was it Friday night, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
6:30, and it's at Christ Church Presbyterian.
Okay.
In the coffee shop side, not the ornate sanctuary with the organ.
Common grounds.
It's not that kind of concert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we going to hear the hits?
And the misses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and everything in between.
all that's
they
gonna
might
be
all be
coming up.
misses. I don't know.
Yeah, so one more time, just tell everybody, when's it start?
Yeah.
And
Starts at 6:30. I've got a friend that's going to do a little pre-show, a couple songs about 6:15.
got an opening act.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my friend Maya has just released a song, so he's gonna release, or I guess it's the live debut. He put it out on all the streaming stuff a couple weeks ago, but yeah, he's gonna start about 6:15, and then we'll get the whole thing going. So there's about 13 or 14 songs I'm doing.
Okay.
And it's broken up kind of into 3 acts. One's kind of a full band, full on melt your face rock and roll kind of thing.
Okay.
And then the next is we slowly wind it down, and then we build it back up real big at the end. So you kind of got to come to see what I'm talking about.
I like it.
And I haven't done anything like this in a really long time, so it feels really good.
Shannon and I are going to be there. So, yeah.
I'm excited.
It'll be a fun night.
Yeah.
Fun weekend.
Practiced for it last night for a couple hours and had a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, good. It's a neat opportunity, man. It's a neat thing for our church to be able to go see Austin do that. So this is a busy time of year around the church. We get ready for Easter. So remember, our Easter service is going to be 9 and 11 on Easter Sunday morning. But I also wanted to let you know that we have a new page on the website. I hope that you've been to the new website, kind of checked out what's going on. And it's simply called This Week at Liberty. And amongst other things, you got a way to give right there. There's sermon notes that are there. Everything you kind of need to know that's going on this week at Liberty, it's right there for you. It's under the About tab. But it also has the announcements and a couple things going on, like spring break next week. If you're watching this on the week of May? We're in March. Last week of March. Yeah, we're in the last week of March. Man, it's been a long day already.
It's hard to know where we are in the year.
So April 2nd is spring break week, so there'll be no Wednesday night stuff going on there. The CR golf tournament's coming up. There's a cemetery work day that's happening. Some of y'all have driven up to the church and you're like, I didn't even know we had a cemetery, but we do. It's at the old location. So Anyway, there's going to be a work day out there. April 5th at 8 a.m. There's new ladies' Bible studies that are starting up this week. Easter Jam, which is a great children's event to get us ready for Easter. All that stuff is going on. And those of you who are new to the church, and man, I don't know if you've noticed, there's a lot of new people who are coming right now. And we've been having a lot of baptisms last few weeks. We celebrated baptism number 6 on Sunday, so praise the Lord for that. But if you're new to the church, there are 12 what we call Liberty Onboard videos. Each one of them is about 10, 12 minutes apiece. A couple of questions that you can answer after each video, but it kind of helps you to know who we are, what we do, kind of what's going on, how you can plug in, and how you can become a part of the Liberty family. So go to libertybaptistchurch.ws and see all the good stuff that's going on there. And as we, this is the last What's Luck Got to Do With It. So, I'm sad to see your little bumper go.
I don't know. Nicole gave me some pretty good ideas for the next segment. So you just have to wait and see. You just have to watch the next week
with anticipation.
Yes.
Right? So Ken and Lori are going to tell it's Luck's Got Nothing to Do With It story. I've got a question that somebody sent in to answer for you about what's our body going to be like in the afterlife, and will we know one another? Some interesting answers to that. Nicole's going to tell you what's going on, what are we celebrating going on in your life, and she's going to talk to Lara about a fundraiser going on at the school she teaches at. So, hey man, a lot of stuff going on in this episode, so let's get right to it. Live at Liberty.
Hey Liberty, I would like to celebrate some birthdays with you guys. And one thing that I have noticed is Sometimes the dates in where I gather my information from are not the same as the person's actual birth date. So instead of giving birth dates, I'm just going to say this week's birthdays, and we can celebrate them. We have Tate Albertson, Carter Reynolds, Savannah Hartsum, Lee Joseph, Abby Claire Mullins, Susan Harrison, Gary Abraham, and Stephanie Young. Our anniversaries this week are Chandler and Justin Hutcherson. They have 5 years that they will be celebrating on the 28th. And then Gary and Jeanette Abraham will be celebrating 46 years on the 31st. And I guess Jeanette's lifetime commitment to you, Gary, was a birthday present because your birthday is the day before your anniversary. So I think she's probably been a gift to you for 46 years. Last night, I was able to go watch Allison Cochran in the play Into the Woods at Cahulla Creek High School, and she played Rapunzel, and she did a phenomenal job. So good job, Allison. Keep up the good work. I am joined today by Lara Keith. And Lara, tell everybody what you do for a living.
So I'm a third grade teacher at Eton Elementary School.
Third grade. My third grade teacher was my favorite teacher, and I'm sure you are a favorite teacher to some of your students. I know that schools often need extra funding for things, and is Eton any different in that?
No, we actually are in the process of trying to raise some funds for some school improvements and some more school supplies that we need around the building.
So do y'all have like a fundraiser planned, and is that how you're doing it?
Yes, so on April 26th, we have what's called our farm raiser. We've done it for a few years, but we're hoping that it can get bigger. So I was going to reach out to the church and ask if anyone that has a booth or is a vendor, whether it's food, drinks, or you make crafts, t-shirts, anything like that, you can come to the farm raiser and set up a booth on April 26th. We are running it from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There's an application form that just gets sent out if you're interested, and it's $75 for a vendor booth. And then all the profits that you make while you have your booth there, you get to keep for yourself. But the money that you make, or the money that you send us for that booth, is what goes towards our raising funds.
And so that sounds like a lot of fun to me, to even come as a person who wants to buy things and just attend the festival. So another way that the church could get involved is just to be there on April 26th. Show up, buy things, eat at the food trucks. There's an art show, I think, and some different things. So I think it would be just a fun time for us to be there and support Eton Elementary and Lara.
Yeah, and the students there are always excited when they get lots of vendors because each grade level is in charge of the students making a craft that they get to sell at one of our tables. For example, our third graders are going to be making some like bird seed, bird feeders while we're learning about recycling and science. So they get to sell their crafts for a cheap price, but it's something that they get to take pride in if they sell all of their things. And the money that we make at our grade level booths goes toward our grade level buying some things that we need.
Well, that sounds like a fantastic opportunity. And I know that we do have a lot of people who do different things, make crafts. I think Rob and Jackie have a lemonade stand, and I know Lori does shirts, and Amber has she does all kinds of crafty things. So that's a great opportunity. Well, hopefully people will reach out to you and purchase a booth to set up, and if not, we can all show up maybe on the 26th and spend some money to go toward Eton Elementary.
Yes.
If you have anything else that you would like for us to tell Liberty about, please reach out to me, and y'all have a great week.
What's love got to do? Got to do with it? What's love got to do? Got to do with it?
Hey, so you know this month is all about what luck's got to do with it. And as we know as believers, luck don't have anything to do with it. It's all God. And Ken, you and I experienced a huge God story when we were kind of in the transition of moving our office to another location. And so, I mean, just tell me what all you remember about that, because I love to recall those moments that we really saw God's hand in our life.
Well, first I'll say it wasn't lucky that I found you. It was a blessing 37
Well,
years
now,
ago.
you know, yeah.
But going back to the dental office, so I had purchased a lot and had plans to build an office.
Yeah.
And in '08, we were finalizing equipment. And we went down to Atlanta to a dental show. And at that dental show on Saturday, we were going to finalize the equipment order.
And we were looking at all colors and all the things to try to pick out for this practice. Yeah.
You were. I was just, I'm more of mechanics, what kind of motor does it have in it, But I don't know if you remember, you and I went to dinner kind of early.
We had, yeah.
And we came back. We were like on the, I don't know, 45th. Um, um, the
We were
40.
way up in
We
one
were
of those
up,
big
in,
hotels.
yeah, 45th floor of the hotel, and the weather was actually on. They were coming
Right.
on. They said it was severe weather in downtown Atlanta. So I go to the window and I'm looking. Lo and behold, here comes a tornado
Right
right
toward
through
us.
downtown Atlanta. I'm like, holy smokes, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So, make a long story short, hits the World Congress Center, and they canceled the dental meeting, so we didn't get to finalize.
I mean, how often is it that a tornado is going to hit downtown Atlanta, stop an entire show for the whole southeast of the United States?
Yeah,
But it did.
yeah. So that was in March, and so the company that was actually we were purchasing equipment from actually flew us to Oregon
Yep.
to their facility, and so Memorial Day weekend we fly to Oregon and we go out and we look and we kind of finalize the order.
Yep.
And fast forward through the summer, we were getting ready to build this dental office, and
We had all the plans drawn.
we had
had
plans drawn.
everything
We were
done.
doing some final
Yeah.
civil engineering on the lot. And lo and behold, Lori gets a call from a sweet lady she worked with in Birmingham, Alabama. When Lori worked at a bank, she actually worked in the investments department.
Yep.
And this sweet lady told her, said, I don't know what's going on, but everybody here at the bank, they're selling their stock. So it's like, I don't know what that means, but something is changing.
Yep.
And so lo and behold, everybody remembers '08 crash. And so we put everything on hold. I was a little bit, devastated, a little bit, like,
We were disheartened because we were really looking forward to having this big new, building that we had really dreamed of and saved for and worked toward.
yeah. So that had been about a 5-year process
Yeah.
up to that point.
Yeah.
So we put everything on hold. Of course, everybody knows everything kind of crashed in '08 and it kind of led into '09. Well, beginning early summer of '09, I started thinking again, well, hey, maybe we could move forward with this dental office again. I had a lot available. I had plans drawn. We were just sitting to just ready
We
to
were on
pull
wait.
the,
We were
yeah,
we were on ready the whole time.
ready to
Yeah.
pull the trigger. And then Lori, tell us about your mom and what happened with her over the summer, late summer.
So
of
Labor
09.
Day, my mom was actually diagnosed with what they told us at that time was terminal cancer. So then again, this isn't luck. It was totally God, because the kind of cancer that mom was diagnosed with here was not the same when we got to MD Anderson in Houston, Texas. It was a totally different kind. Here it was terminal. There it was, we can work with this. And so we knew then that we had to stop everything again, because you were still going to have to be at work. I was going to have to be the one who was kind of heading this whole entire project of building the practice. And I couldn't do it because my life had kind of been put on hold because of going back and forth with mom to Texas. And I knew that the next few months was going to be touch and go with her. And it was, for that matter. But then, we come home and mom's good and all things are on go again. But you and I at that time too had just kind of slowed life down a little bit and realized that we, just kind of need to back up for a minute and just kind of chill out.
Yeah.
And so for about a year we did.
So fast forward to May of 2010. I'm sitting at Sonic in Calhoun, and I see a Regions Bank building that has been vacant.
Still the green roof.
It's still green roof, still is today, but for sale sign. I was thinking, man, that would be a neat dental office. But I already had a lot. I already had plans, already that. But it's something in me just kept telling me to say, call about that. So I did. I finally called the real estate agent, and he gave me a huge number on it. I said, that I'm sure it's worth it, but it's, I would need to totally gut the building.
Right.
I told him, I said, I've got a lot. I've got all this ready to go. He said, just make an offer. Just make an offer. He said, it's nothing to me,
Right.
nothing personal, so do it. So I did. I made an offer and made a crazy, low offer.
Low ball offer.
Low ball, And the first counteroffer was scarily very close to what we'd offered,
Yeah.
you know. And so in 30 days, we went from making an offer to purchasing the building.
Yeah, you called me and you said you better get ready because I think we're about to buy a building.
You know, another crazy thing about it was when I started looking at the building, I called the architect that had drawn the original plans because he's in the dental industry.
Yeah.
And so I asked him to come meet me and take a look at it and see what he thought, you know, just get a second opinion on it. He brought us the plans of the office that
we
he
drawn
had
up, yeah.
drawn for us. While we were inspecting the building, we found the original plans for that bank. We lay them out on the table. He lays the plans down and he says, Ken, this is within 1 foot of what I have drawn. He said,
Same layout.
He said, I've never seen a building work perfect like this. And so all this time, we knew it wasn't luck. We knew it was God's timing and God's plan, you know.
And I remember you questioning something one time, and I said, Ken, have you not stopped to think about our phone number? Because our phone number is 706-602-9255, and it spells wall.
Yeah.
And that's Wall Street.
That's
so,
exactly right. So,
you know.
So looking back, you know, we felt like that we had interruptions. We felt like that, hey, our luck was running out, so to speak, things like that. All the time, God was in the background working, and we just didn't even know it. You know?
Yeah. God is always at work, and we don't always know that he's at work. Even when we think life's stopped, life's changed, he's redirecting things. He sends a tornado right through the downtown Atlanta. You know, all kinds of things. God is still at work. And, you know, we've just learned in our time together, and now 34 years together, that it's always God. It's not luck. And, you know, Ken and I were talking this morning, actually coming to church, about just different things. And I said, you know, when we look back, even the small things in our life, it's never just luck. It's always been God. And even though we've been through some hard trials, he's brought us through those hard trials, and we've been able to overcome. But our faith during those trials too, even with us building the practice and it, you know, like things are now, it's increased our faith in him. It's increased our knowledge and wisdom of him and our discernment of him, and us being able to stand solid on who he is.
Well said, my dear.
Thanks, honey.
Interesting question this week has to do with life after death. What are we going to be like in heaven? So the question is, will we have human bodies, or will we be spiritual beings? Will we know people from earth in heaven? That's not an uncommon question, and you are not the first to ask it. As a matter of fact, your question is in the Bible. It's actually in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 35, and it says, but someone will ask, that would be you today, right? How are the dead raised, and with what kind of body do they come? Now, you have to understand the context that Paul is answering this. These people are asking this question in jest to kind of make fun of the Christian faith, and I understand this person is not asking that. So that's why he says, you foolish person. He's not saying that is a foolish question, but if you are trying to use a question like that to trip up somebody about the Christian faith, he's saying that's kind of a foolish approach, because it's a really clear, simple answer. And then he goes on and talks about the nature of bodies. And I don't have time to read all of this, but I would encourage you to do so, because he talks about how we can just observe the world as it is and see the different natures of bodies and how they change. The first example he gives is the body of a seed, and when it's sown into the soil, it becomes a plant. And so that body changes. He talks about the idea of there are bodies that are made in this world for flight and with birds, and there are some bodies that are made to live in the water with fish. We have bodies that are made to live on the land and to breathe air. So we understand that God can create bodies and beings for people to live in different environments. And so this passage kind of says a couple of things about the nature of the body that will be in heaven. One, the new body will not be affected by sin. It will be fit to live in the new heaven and the new earth eternally. And I don't know exactly how that's going to work because I think there's some physics of the new heaven and the new earth that are really interesting if you look at what little the Bible does say about it. And the Bible doesn't tell us exactly what we might look like or exactly what we might be like, but the Bible is clear that God provides bodies that are able to live in different habitats. And so I would encourage you to read 1 Corinthians 15, and it sort of answers that question. And so the next question, the follow-up is, okay, and this is kind of what I'm gathering from this, whatever kind of body is it that it's going to be, are you going to be able to recognize other people? And the answer to that question is yes. I think we will look humanish. It's hard to imagine. The Bible doesn't tell us exactly what that body's going to look like or exactly what it's going to be like. But one of the things that we do recognize from Scripture, is that, think about the transfiguration. Whenever Peter, James, and John were there with Jesus and Moses and Elijah appeared with Jesus, even though they obviously never had a picture of Moses or Elijah, had never met Moses or Elijah because they didn't live anywhere close to their lifespan or their time frame of their life, they immediately recognized who they were. And so I think you'll not only recognize people that you know now, you'll recognize people you don't know now. You will know them, the Bible says, as they are known. I guess just supernaturally we'll have that knowledge provided to us, or we'll all be wearing name tags. I'm not really sure. But think about the story of Lazarus and Abraham, the rich man and Lazarus. So the Bible tells us that Lazarus died and the rich man died. It's interesting that the rich man has no name in that parable. Only Lazarus does. And it's almost like their fate on earth was swapped in eternity. The rich man lived in a really prosperous life. Lazarus didn't. They get into eternity and it's switched eternally. And Lazarus has an identity. So does Abraham. They're talking with one another. And the rich man, even though he is in torments in hell, he still recognizes Lazarus, who in that place, maybe it's a question for another day, that they're speaking to one another over this great gulf that's fixed between the two. And the rich man knows exactly who he is. Jesus referred to Abraham and David and some of the saints of the Old Testament that have passed away, and he says, I'm not the God of the dead, but I'm the God of the living. And so those people still have identity, and Jesus spoke about them as if he knew them and had met them in eternity. And then think about the passage after David has sinned. They've conceived a child. That child is born to Bathsheba, and then it passes away. And yet David has a hope. He's not going to see that child anymore on earth. He says, he will never come back to me. He says, but I will go to him. And so David had that hope of, even though it was a baby, even though it was a child, that whenever David entered into heaven, he would know exactly who that child is. And so the Bible does make it very clear that we will recognize people that we know in this life and people that we don't even know in this life. Now, here's what's really interesting that we need to take away from this. The Bible is not as concerned with helping us understand the nature of the body or the way recognition works or even how relationships are going to be in the afterlife. The Bible's major concern is how you get there. And that's the point you can't miss. Anytime you read one of these passages, the major concern is not answering that question of what life is going to be like in the afterlife. It's always more concerned with helping you understand that we have to repent of faith and turn to Jesus Christ so that we can be with him in eternity. So please don't miss that. But I would end this question kind of with a video I actually saw a couple weeks ago that was really interesting. And it was kind of I don't know, a parable, little allegory that a guy had put together, and he made a video like he was a twin in a womb, and the twins were talking, right? So, right, just bear with me. So the twins are talking to one another, and one twin in the room says, "Hey," in the womb, says, "Hey, do you know that after we're born, we're going to breathe air?" And the other one's like, "Oh no, there's no way we're going to breathe air because a child in the womb is being sustained in life by that amniotic fluid in the umbilical cord, and so it really can't imagine what life might be like outside of the womb." And then the other one goes, "Hey, we're going to use our mouth to eat food." And the other one's like, "No, there's no way you're going to, and he kind of goes on like that. And he says, "We're going to use our legs and our feet to walk one of these days." And the other, "No, there's no way your legs are ever going to be able to do that." And I think it's kind of a little parable to prove the point that ultimately in the state you and I are in, we can't imagine really what life is going to be like beyond this, because we just have such a finite experience of the world and the nature of things where we live. So I hope that answers your question. I think it's a great question. It's a very common question, and I wish there was a book of the Bible that just said, let's put this all together and show you how all this works, but there really isn't. And so again, just don't miss that point, that the Bible's not as concerned with answering your questions about what the afterlife will be like. It gives plenty of information about that. But its major concern is to make sure that you know Jesus Christ so that you will be in the new heaven and the new earth. So keep sending me your questions. I love it when you submit them. We'll give you a link on this page or in the comments so that you can go and let us know what your question is, and we'll get it on the next podcast.